morning, everybody. It's the 1st of July 2026. It's Wednesday, and the time is 10 minutes after 10. Actually, I wanted to be going a little bit earlier today, but I'm in the usual spot. I normally go to this place over. Just got some lady walking by. Maybe didn't want to be in the picture. Anyway, normally go over there, and I'm leaving Minsk in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Anyway, just outside of Minsk, and the big highway you see back there, if you look on maps of Minsk, it's the, I don't know, MCOD I always call it. Anyway, oh, you like my hat too, huh? I've had this hat for over 30 years. Never really wore it. It's when I worked at Beck's Brewery a long time ago, back in the 90s. And I like this hat, but I never wore it. It was stuck in my clothes, and something I didn't lose it over time. Okay, so what's going on in news now? Again, you know, talking mostly about what the big geopolitical event in the world is the disturbance between Iran and the United States. And it's very clear that Iran has come out being the victor, strategically the victor of this, and I think a lot of people are talking about that. Donald Trump, of course, likes to emphasize the fact that if you talk about pure destructive power, the United States is the winner, because they did far more destruction on Iran than Iran did to the US as far as material destruction. But the United States, a lot of their credibility is gone. They're actually, they have less prestige in the world now than they did before. So Donald Trump made a big mistake, and in that way. And I don't think they're going to have as much credibility amongst a lot of other nations anymore because of that. And Iran, their prestige has gone up, even though maybe their economy is hurting a little bit. I've heard somehow that they are exporting a lot of oil, but I don't know. You know, the fog of war, and what is it, the first casualty of any war is the truth, so I don't know. And anybody that tells you, you're going to hear all sorts of different things. On the US side, there's, oh, their economy is completely destroyed and this, that, and the other thing. And then you're going to hear a lot of people say, oh, they're making so much money. Yeah, it's very much like Donald Trump. But Donald Trump, he is prone to lying. He lies and lies and lies some more. And he's coming up with these, he says that, oh, they're begging for a deal, as you all know. And, oh, we're having a deal in Qatar. And they were begging for it. They're so anxious. And Iran says, no, we're not having any kind, you know, we're talking to them, but we're not going to do any negotiations. They said that they're not going to do any negotiations with the United States until the United States starts to obey the agreement, the memorandum of understanding, and the US isn't. Of course, they make it sound like Iran is not. And the main thing is, I guess the Iranians believe that the US has Israel on a leash, and all they have to do is yank the leash a little bit to get Israel to do what it wants. And even Donald Trump says so, but Netanyahu says the opposite. He says, you know, and so do all the top ministers of Israel. And like I just now said, Donald Trump is prone to lying, but of course Netanyahu and them, they're also a bunch of liars, but Donald Trump just lies a lot more. So I guess it's the truth probably is more what you're hearing out of Israel, that the United States has virtually no power over Israel whatsoever. When Israel wants to do something, they do it. Unless they see some advantage. The United States has to use a lot of diplomacy, a lot of wily things, and said, okay, well, if you do this, then this is what's going to happen. And of course, if Israel sees a different alternative, as you know, said, well, we pull all the strings. We own your Congress, we own your Senate, we own a lot of other things, we own the media, and well, we can create a different reality whenever we feel like it, and we will do that. I mean, that's what Israel, in a sense, would be telling the United States, but the United States should know that as it is. So the most powerful country in the world, like I said before, the most powerful man is Netanyahu, whoever the leader of Israel is and the most powerful country is Israel. It always is, because they control the world's military and financial superpower, which is the United States. There's only certain things they cannot do, but when Israel wants to, they can get just about anything done. You know, it depends on how much they dare to get done, how much they want. So that's how that always works out. I don't think I walked here last time. This looks like it's somebody's kind of vacant lot. They keep it a little bit, the grass down up to a certain point over here. They had a little fire to burn some of the weeds and things. Hope they don't mind if I'm walking here. I wonder if it's, oh, it's a lot maybe. I don't know. Should walk through the grass like a caterpillar over there. Okay. But when you're looking at a lot of these diplomats in the United States, for example, even Donald Trump's big negotiators, Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, as well as Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is actually very much involved in the negotiations as well, wherever he's at. But all of these people, these three, and of course much, much more, these people are all pro-Israel. And I guess to a large extent, Donald Trump is probably the one that assigns these people. And that tells you that Donald Trump is pro-Israel. But a lot of people are saying that there's some pushback right now, and Trump realizes, I think even Max Blumenthal said this, that he's been taken for a ride by Israel, and Israel basically lied, and who was it? I think it was Max Blumenthal also said that this intelligence operation against Iran is the biggest intelligence operation failure over the past many years. But I don't know about that, you know. I don't know if that's not what they intended to be doing, you know. By way of deception, thou shalt create war. You know, there's a lot of these old expressions that you can really put up, and you got to even think about a lot of the things that Jesus says. I always go with this one, and it said, know them by their fruits. And you can find the nicest people, that people, oh, they're so nice. They say the nicest things to you and all this. Even like maybe even J.D. Vance. We have to watch J.D. Vance. He's not in really much of any position right now, but he seems like he's a little bit more rational than the other people. But you don't know. You put him in that office, and it may not be that he is in any kind of a power, even just like Tulsi Gabbard. She announced a lot of things in her last days of Director of National Intelligence, and I knew that Tulsi Gabbard is not a bad person, so she kind of wants to rescue humanity and do the best for the United States, and I think she hasn't changed at all from what she was before she was working for Donald Trump. So for what it's worth, I guess. So but anyway, J.D. Vance, maybe he's just kind of playing a good cop, bad cop sort of a deal with, you know, compared to Rubio and Trump. And but, you know, he was assigned by Donald Trump, and he is there at the behest of Donald Trump. So you can't really fall for much of anything. But as you know, Witkoff and Kushner, they are fully on the side of Israel. And a lot of people say that Israel made Rubio. They made Rubio. They backed him the entire time. So he is a product of Israel as well. And he made this deal with Lebanon, with the government of Lebanon, not the Hezbollah. And I guess within, who is it? I don't know. I think I wrote it down here. Within 48 hours of this deal, it was just penned, I guess maybe around 3 days ago. Within 48 hours, Israel attacked Lebanon 5 times, bombed them 5 times. In other words, they have no intention whatsoever of following that agreement. You know, so what is it even worth? What is it worth to sign anything with the Israel or the United States? So that's how that really goes. And yeah, Trump he's sort of hanging on. A lot of, I guess, some people in Iran are saying that they realize that Donald Trump, he cannot afford to have another military adventure against anybody, especially, of course, Iran, because Iran is a lot more powerful than what he believed. Maybe he'll try to go for some little one that he can actually win and make it look like he's some kind of a big shot, but he can't afford really anything right now because of the midterms, and it's getting too close. That's what Iran believes anyway. And he is looking for an opportunity right now in so many different ways to snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat, as you all know. And it's very much like I keep mentioning, others maybe mention it as well, that Donald Trump is still looking for some way to pin the killing of all those innocent elementary school children on Iran or somebody else, to blame it on somebody else with the double tap Tomahawk missiles and killed 168 schoolgirls, as well as other people, teachers and whatnot. And that's on the very first day. Yeah, he's obviously trying to make it look like Iran somehow did it. I mean, look at they were successful whenever there was any IEDs. What is that called? Anyway, during the Iraq War, and they tried to blame it all on Iran. And maybe Iran had some friendship with some of the groups, whether you call them terrorists or freedom fighters or insurgents or whatever like that. Maybe they had some kind of a well, let's just say they had some kind of a friendly relations with them. But it's not like, the United States was trying to say Iran was linked to Al-Qaeda and all these things, even though they definitely weren't. They were enemies, and ISIS. And the only one that really was friends with ISIS and Al-Qaeda is the United States. These are proxy militaries, and very many people in the United States have admitted that those are proxy militaries of the United States, and they had their uses. It's just like the Jundallah in Iran. It was a terrorist group, and they were doing killings, of the IRGC, the Iranian National Guard, and they were doing other terrorist activities. The commander came out and admitted it. He admitted it, that they worked with the United States after they caught him. And Iran doesn't. This guy was on an airplane. Rigi was his name, and the United States forced the airplane down as it was leaving. I believe it was Afghanistan, and they forced it down into. I was thinking it might be Kuwait, but they don't have. They forced it down into some port in southern Iran, and they took this guy off. And of course, the United States would just shoot the entire jet down and kill everybody on it. Collateral damage. Like they normally always do. But anyway, the Iranians took this guy, and then they interviewed him, not under duress. Wasn't under duress at all. You could see that. And yeah, he was admitting that was the case. So, but that was many years ago. Okay, Netanyahu gave a speech yesterday at an Israeli forum, and he said Trump asked him, "How do you do it? How do you maintain?" It's like between Iran, Gaza, Lebanon. Probably you should say, and your corruption trials, and how do you do it? And Netanyahu, he says to Trump, he says, he's buttering up his own people. "We are a people like no other. It is impossible to defeat us." Because he's probably trying to keep all the people on his side with all of his wars. A lot of people are protesting. They have been protesting in Israel. I don't know that they are not what we call Zionist. What we call Zionist, most of us, the world knows as Zionists now, are people that want to, commit genocide against all of these people so that Israel can take over more and more land. So, but some people say they're Zionist and they're not out for the killing, which means other things. Zionist means a homeland for the Jewish people. So it's people of a religion get a homeland and not an ethnicity. And they want you to believe that Jewishness is an ethnicity. And obviously it's not, it's a religion. I guess unless Donald Trump's daughter has different blood in her, makes you wonder, who is her mother? Anyway, so he's turning it into some personal compliment when actually Donald Trump was trying to say how amazing you are, and Netanyahu figured out a way, probably with AI or some of his advisors, hey, turn it around and make our people so that they will support you. And I think he got an applause or something like that. So they're going to say, let's just keep on killing and taking over everything, because we're a people that can't be defeated, I guess. Okay. And they were happy, dancing in the streets, as Trump would say, just like all the people in Venezuela after all of the things that they've been going through. They're dancing in the streets, Donald Trump says. Yeah. But anyway, no, Netanyahu is just trying to encourage everybody to continue these wars, and apparently it keeps him out of jail. A lot of people. It's just like Zelensky. They say as long as these wars keep going, Zelensky, well, will can stay in power and get lots and lots of money. And yeah, a lot of people are still talking about how much money Zelensky and all these people have. I mean, you hear every single day about super, super rich people. And then I guess just an oligarch, just I think it was yesterday, the day before, maybe some Ukrainian oligarch. And of course, a lot of the Ukrainians, they go and, because they steal so friggin' much money from the US, and of course now mostly from the EU, and the money just keeps pouring in. It has not stopped at all. But I guess somebody, a Ukrainian, who knows who was with this guy, but he set off some bomb in Monaco and killed, no, I don't know if he killed, I forgot if he killed or not. But anyway, it was a family, an oligarch and his family. And apparently the wife had both of her legs blown off from that bomb, but it was Ukrainians killing other Ukrainians. And, or a Ukrainian killing Ukrainians. All that, you know, I mean, that's the Ukrainians, I guess. That's their deal. So, but anyway, this guy was a big rich guy too, you know, and there's a lot of them, I guess. Lots of the most fancy sport cars, like Donald Trump Jr. said, if you go to Monaco, and all of the richest cars they all have Ukrainian license plates and all that. And that's just there. They're all over the world. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And Zelensky, he has got many tens of billions for himself, stealing it from the American taxpayer, and now of course the Europeans, because they are showering him with money. But of course, you all know Ursula von der Leyen is not going to be doing this until she's cashing in big time too, just like she did with Pfizer. She made millions and millions and millions. And you know, even if these people, they shave off a few percentage points, you know, 3% for the big guy. Well, no, that was 10% for the big guy. That's what Hunter Biden was saying, you know, when they were stealing that money, you know, with all that corruption stuff. 10% for the big guy. That's for Joe Biden, was the big guy. You know, so I mean, it's like incredible. And like I said, I worked for politicians, and I worked for like some people like that, and I've seen enough in different places of my life, and I know that there are people out there that know the same thing. And if you see the little points all over, I mean, and we're talking about a lot of them are sports stars or entertainment people, hey, even media people, even a lot of big people in the media that get millions and millions. And then there are a lot of politicians, and these people really, really cash in. And we're not supposed to notice that or see that or know, you know, anything. But a lot of them, you know, they have big millions and billions. But, you know, some of them are even to the billions, such as Zelensky, of course. He's the head of state, so he gets the biggest cut out of everything. The money comes in through his hands, and then it filters down, and everybody gets their cut. I think it's like 15% normally in a lot of countries. I know it's a 15%. Everybody takes a 15% cut. In Ukraine, I guess that is the standard. Sounds like some explosions. You guys don't hear that, though. I don't know. Sounds like it. It's probably not. Okay. So, what else? Milei of Argentina. Another big stooge of Israel that cheated his way into the election. Oh my, maybe people actually voted for him. I didn't cover it that closely, but I do remember. And the guy is he's really screwed over the country. And Donald Trump has sent him tens of millions of dollars of the US taxpayers' money as well. And Israel sends this guy a lot of money. So he is really cashing in. I guess, you know, you need a lot of money to maintain those sideburns on that guy. I guess he used to have some sideburns. But yeah, Milei. So he got in front of the podium in Latin America at some forum. But he was at a podium. The one I saw with Netanyahu is sitting in a chair, you know, talking to, you know, a bunch of Israelis in the audience and all that. But this one was, you know, Milei in front of a podium, and that saying we have to do everything for Israel, or the bad Arabs, the Persians, probably. Well, he didn't say who. He just said they. And of course, obviously, he means the Arabs, he means the Persians, he means the Russians. He hates all of these people. And he has come right out and he said it. And there's probably much, much more. But anyway, he said they will destroy the entire West. I thought that I didn't know Argentina was considered part of the West. Well, anyway, if he's part of the West, they will destroy it. So we have to do everything for Israel. We have to send them as many weapons as possible. I think he sent whatever weapons he had available, he sent them all to Ukraine, most of them Milei. And of course, there's areas there that that Israel is taking in Argentina. You know, huge swaths of area when they're moving. Well, Jews, I guess, not necessarily. They can't be Israeli if they're in a completely different country. They'd be Argentinian Jews, I guess. But it's incredible. But anyway, what he's mostly saying, you got to start thinking. These people have a different language, and they send out different signals. You know, it's like looking out for America's interest and all that sort of a thing. And a lot of times these have hidden meanings to them. And what he is talking about, Milei, is he's not saying that the West necessarily destroy the entire West. He's talking about what you might call oligarchs, the rich, the powerful, those people that are controlling everything in the West, as well as maybe even places that aren't in the West, such as he's not really in a Western country either. I don't know. Is Argentina? Maybe it is. I guess it depends on what you call West. Used to be like I don't know, a different kind of a status. You know, they had first world, second world, third world, all that kind of stuff. Things changed around, and right now, well, what is West? You know, I would say Argentina might be part of the global South, but I don't know. And then you have the East. Now, what is the East? A lot of time the East was China, Thailand, Japan maybe, and Korea and all this. Maybe Japan was part of the West as well. I don't know. But now what is the East? It's probably like China and Russia. Russia's on the East. Russia's kind of, I don't know, maybe now you can kind of recognize Russia's sort of in the center. And the West is Europe, because they're west of Russia. And Russia, or unless there's only East, West, and people maybe don't like to use South, the global South. What about the North, the Northern Hemisphere? That's where a lot of the rich people are. No, we would have to include Russia in that. So, we don't want to do that. I don't know. Let's just say the establishment people. Yes. So, but what Milei is actually saying is all of us elites, all of us, and there are, I tell you what, there are teams, there are clubs, there are like lawyer protecting groups that protect the assets of a lot of the rich people. You guys heard about the Panama Papers and the Pandora Papers, all that sort of stuff. Somebody once gave me, and I think I might even still have him on my WhatsApp, and it's difficult, I guess, to get an answer. Of course, he didn't answer me, but this guy handles a lot of the assets of the super rich, and we're talking maybe people, they have to have at least about $250 million or whatever. And the guy that gave that to me, he used to sell yachts to the super rich, you know, big pleasure yachts and things like that. So he kind of, this is that, you know, and but anyway, it's the guy never replied to me, and he's somewhere in South America. It's so similar to Panama Papers, Pandora Papers, and it's very strange. Maybe these people are located in Argentina, as far as I know. Where at, I have no idea. I tell you what, they move in a lot different circles, as you all know, these super rich people, and I've met quite a few of them. A lot of big investors, you know, people that were billionaires and all that. They go. That not only do they have business class and all that in the airplanes, they have special lounges, as you all know. Theirs is air conditioned. They got padded chairs, and everybody else has to sit on hard benches on the outside. You know, all of us peons. You know, peons. What is that? Does that mean it's raining? No, you guys know what I'm getting at. Piss on you and say it's raining, like Cheech and Chong. Hey man, it's raining out here. Anyway. A lot of you don't know who Cheech and Chong is. I think it's on they used to do these tapes. Instead of making music, they did these comedy tapes and you know, about drug addicts and stuff like that. And they put somebody in a trunk once or whatever like that. And these two other guys thought it would be kind of funny, and so they started peeing on the trunk. And hey man, it's raining out here. Anyway, if that's kind of interests you, that was some old stuff. Maybe it was probably back in the late 70s or something. Okay, So destroy the West. That means destroy us oligarchs, us rich people that control everything, and we pee on all of our people, that we don't really give a crap about them anyway. We care about our bank accounts, feathering all of our class of people. You guys know that stuff anyway. And we exploit our people, you know, tell them, oh, I'm sorry, we have to raise the taxes, you know, things are getting really tough, you know. Oh, we have these wars to fight, we got all this and that, and I need a new Mercedes limousine every year. Anyway, so, yeah, fake news, exploit the globe, corruption, steal money, enact genocide, start some pandemics. You know how these people are. I mean, what a crap show. And everybody out there on this channel, you know that this stuff is all happening. I mean, there's a lot of other people, Russell Brand. There's so many people that are going to be hinting about all of this stuff and how this really works. You know, the system. It's great for them. But they want to reduce the world's population, so that's one reason why they're doing this other stuff. You know, the pandemics and the wars and things. They think that the world is way overpopulated. You can go back 1,000 years and they said that back in the old days. I mean, and look at this field behind me here. Well, maybe they should plant some crops there. There's no crops there. Practically nothing is grazing here either. So, you know, and there's thousands of these things. And this is in Belarus, and there's not a big, heavily populated area. But, you know, if you think that there's not enough land, and I don't know, maybe they need to lower the prices and then they can get people to work out here and actually do this. You know, but no, these people, they own these big companies to make their televisions and cell phones, and they have to make huge, big profits out of everything while they're paying people 50 cents or $1 a day to make these cell phones, these Apple and things. Anyway, that's enough BS on that part. Yeah, they can get some, like what was that, Ivana, no, what? Anyway, I get the names mixed up. But anyway, this Trump and Jared Kushner discovered an island. Can you imagine this? Right off the coast of Albania, and there was tour guides taking people there for the day. They would get there, spend the day there, and then can get back to Albania. But nobody ever saw this island. These people, they didn't even know where they were at. But anyway, the Trump, Jared Kushner, and them, they discovered the island. So anyway, they're getting that island apparently, and the government sold it. But you know, that's the carrot on the stick anyway. So when these two people, this couple, and their Israeli, you know, development firms decided they wanted to do this, what was it, a nature preserve, no building allowed. But now all of a sudden there's going to be buildings there, and it's so beautiful. Look at that, bringing civilization to that place. But yeah, and but it's yeah, it's going to benefit all of us, because we will know in our hearts that Donald Trump's daughter is taken care of, and all of her, you know, her rich husband, and on all their rich friends. They can go there and have parties, and their children's and stuff like that. Yeah, so I mean, there's got to be a silver lining in that. Okay, and it's worth genocide, right? Yeah. Okay, I also saw another guy. He's also a big multi-billionaire. I can't remember. I remember hearing once. He's got real big millions too. This guy named is Bill O'Reilly. Remember, he was this guy, this hothead. He was a hothead reporter for Fox News, and I guess he was talking with Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan, he's on again and off again, and but anyway, they were talking about Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and Megyn Kelly, and Bill O'Reilly, you know, the great journalist that everybody loved so much. I mean, maybe the neocons. And yeah, he said that all of these people are not journalists, that he is a big journalist, but not Tucker Carlson or Megyn Kelly, or I don't know. And I don't really even know what a journalism is. You know, these people, they've got degrees probably in journalism, but they're not journalists. I don't even call myself a journalist, to be honest with you. I'm just doing some friggin' blog here, you know. I don't know, maybe on the other hand, if you have a liberal interpretation, anybody that reports what the news is and can put out an opinion piece or whatever like that is a journalist. I don't know. Maybe in the old days you had to put something into print and then you were a journalist. But now, I don't know, you make a video. Anyhow, but Bill O'Reilly, he said that these evil like Putin, and that's trying to save the friggin' world. And I mean, how dare him? And Iran and all these other evil, maybe probably Korea. I guess they'd throw Korea in there. I mean, why not? And, those are all evil people, and they must, if possible, be eliminated. Must exterminate. I don't know. Sterilize. I don't know. But anyway, he said they have to pretty much be killed and all that. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she was in an interview too, and she was saying that Trump loves Fauci. They caught up with Fauci, and she was actually very grateful to Tulsi Gabbard for exposing all that sort of stuff. That's what I'm saying. Tulsi Gabbard, she's got a very good streak, and she's not out for killing kids and killing people and doing all of this sort of thing. I guess she's a person like live and let live more than live and kill like Fauci and these people. All these people are out for the big money and all that. I mean, gosh, you gotta understand that. So what's a couple million people perishing for Fauci getting 10 million extra? Anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she came out the interview and she said that Trump loves Fauci. He loves the COVID vaccine. And he thinks, this is what she said, he thinks he saved 100 million people. That's Donald Trump. Donald Trump, he stopped all these wars. I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for Donald Trump, everybody, we would have had at least 1 billion dead people by now on the globe. And there's no denying that. So take that. Take the little finger, everybody. Donald Trump, he probably says he's saved at least 20 billion people. Wait a minute, do we have 20 billion? Anyway, at least a couple billion. So that, I mean, in total, without wars and his Operation Warp Speed. It's really some strange thing that, the people really didn't start dying really a lot during this COVID time until after these vaccines started coming out. I mean, it's just a coincidence. I mean, I'm not trying to start any kind of conspiracy here, everybody. It's a coincidence. They just started dying in mass when the vaccines started coming out, And when Omicron came, it really slowed down. That really pissed some people off. Billy, the software developer, maybe I'm not allowed to say his name. So anyway, those people were pissed off. But anyway, let me finish what she said. She said, he thinks he saved 100 million people. And Marjorie Taylor Greene said, shh, don't let YouTube hear this. Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she would argue millions of people died because of the COVID vaccine. Shh. So anyway, so there was a big terrorist attack I told you guys already about in Monaco. And like I said, they're trying not to let anybody know that this was Ukraine on Ukraine. Maybe they're trying to say it was the Russians that did it. Wow. So this guy if I'm got his name, Galbaf, he is actually the main negotiator for Iran, and I think he's the parliamentary speaker. And in an interview, he said Iran knows that Rubio is negotiating to cheat the Lebanese people. And of course, it just turned out to be exactly correct, because that soon right after that is when Israel just kept on bombing. They kept on bombing Lebanon. So yeah, I mentioned that. Okay. Volkswagen, they're cutting an additional, they've been cutting, I don't know, every year or two or whatever, they cut more jobs. So they're cutting an additional 100,000 jobs. I think it's globally, because of the electric cars from China. Damn those damn Chinese. Damn it. Like Donald Trump. China. It's China. It's where the virus came from, China. Well, it's kind of strange. They developed that virus in South Carolina and some places like that. U.S. military. That was an Army project. The one with the genetics is an Air Force project. Really weird that the military is involved in that. I mean, it's just coincidence. They have some doctors and developers too. It's strange that they would do it. I mean, but I don't know. What does that tell me? Anyhow, so Ursula, she's sending again. Did I mention this earlier? I don't know. An additional. I mean, I mentioned something like that. Was it yesterday about this money? And I think altogether there was 105 billion euros. And obviously, she gets a big kick of this, like she did with Pfizer, like I said. But anyway, they're sending an additional 3.9 billion euros to Ukraine. This time for drone drone attack stuff or whatever. And you know, the article said to kill Russian civilians, but you know, they're probably going to try to use it to kill soldiers as well. I kind of think you know, press is a little bit hard maybe over in this part of the world too. They mention the civilians, and they don't mention so much the that Ukraine is also killing the service members, of course, and they kill them in smaller numbers than, I mean, they're less successful than the Russians are for eliminating Ukrainian soldiers. And by Ukrainian, I also mean a lot of the mercenaries that they're getting from different places. Okay, also, I mentioned Nigeria yesterday, and I don't know that I mentioned that they have a lot of oil in Nigeria, but I forgot to say that, I think I forgot to say this, that they recently, and that was maybe the main point of what I was going to say yesterday, but I didn't, because I don't know if I didn't have it written down. But it was a big, massive lithium reserves that they found. So Nigeria, and you gotta wonder, I don't really know what state they're in, what the government, how well managed they are, and how much involvement foreign countries have there, which would normally be the worst thing. And you know, there's a lot of wealth in Nigeria, a lot of people, of course, as well. And let me sound racist here for a little bit, because a lot of black people even tell me this themselves. And I don't even know why it is. It's some sort of a cultural thing. It has nothing to do with skin color or nothing. So I guess now, well, I'm not trying to make it so I am racist or not racist. But a lot of people say, I don't know, it has something to do with culture. So why is it that a lot of black people, they get very, how do I say, aggressively violent and things like that? And black people are the ones that tell me this more than anything else. And it's like, if they were raised, the earlier generations were raised, for example, in the UK, they're no different than any of the white people. They were not aggressive or nothing like that. In America, most of the time, it was very similar as well. There was not any killings or nothing like that. Maybe it depends on where you lived. If maybe some places in like New York and the city and Chicago and things like that. Hey, there's places like that in Washington State too. My brother, he was jumped and beaten, his jaw was broken and everything, ripped the shirt off his back. He was very badly injured and things. They jumped him, and I don't know. But anyhow, that was by, you know, black people, of course, but because he was maybe in the wrong neighborhood. Maybe that's the reason why. But I don't really understand why, you know, and it's very much like when you're looking at Israel, and Israel is pulling all this crap, and it leaves a bad impression people have of Jews, and you get a bad impression of black people as well when you see a lot of this violent stuff. And I've noticed a lot of the people from Africa, they're at least a lot more better behaved than a lot of the people on the island that I lived at in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which are like 96% black. And you don't want to get this impression that everybody's killing each other, because it has a very high murder rate per capita. Murder and rape, very high. And yeah, and everybody knows somebody, some woman apparently, that has, at least maybe the news has leaked out, that they were raped and all that. And you've known, I mean, if you stay there a few years, you'll know people that have been killed. And I've known people that have done the killing, that have been, you know, hey, the guy next door to me got killed. And I don't know, I can talk a lot about the people I know that got killed. And I even had a guy picking coffee for me once. And after some months after, he killed somebody and paralyzed a policeman. He shot the policeman in the spine or something, as well as killing some. He's in prison, but he was in prison before. I mean, anyway, it's all this sort of stuff. And then, you know, people, they screwed up medically there. Hey, they can happen in any country. They gave the wrong medicine, and that guy, the friend, he died. And but anyway, that has nothing to do with aggressiveness or nothing like that. Just how sad it is, you know. You know, people are perishing in various ways, and you see a lot of this stuff in jolly old England. And remember, like I just mentioned, I think maybe it was the last video or the one before, the same-sex couple, these two homosexual guys, they adopted a baby, and I think at 18 months, they killed it with sex. They did some stuff, and you can imagine, I didn't tell you what it was, but they stuffed something in his mouth, down his throat, and it killed him. So these guys, you know, wanting babies, And I don't even want to say why they did it to some young baby. And anyway, sickening stuff. But let's talk. I was talking about Nigeria, but I'm hoping that that Africa is going to be finding itself like Burkina Faso and all this into a whole new era, and that these people are going to step up and be able to compete with, say, Europe at all. Europe has kept them down for so long, the African continent. Maybe it's their turn now, and hopefully they can catch up. But what else do they have there in Nigeria? Oil, copper, lithium, gold, nickel, platinum, lots of platinum, I guess, too, and lots of other rare earths. And America is going to find that they need democracy very, very much now, so they'll be in there. And for a small fee of maybe 60%, I don't know. Okay, there's a last little bit of news, and I don't know. This Professor Zhang, I think he's an American, but he's of Chinese descent, I believe. He is saying that Donald Trump is secretly, I don't know. I think he's not so what is it? Wrong on his information. So this is not. So that's one reason why I'm saying this. But he said that Donald Trump, and it doesn't mean that anything is going to happen. But he said Donald Trump is secretly preparing 60,000 troops to send to Iran, and you know, I don't think so. But anyway, that's what he says, and it's worth noting. And I'm not going to say that he's wrong or nothing like that, like some other people would. But I don't know. That would not be that great of a move. And the question is, when? Is it like midterms are coming? And I think that Professor Zhang was saying that it would be before the next year is up that Donald Trump is going to do this, to send 60,000. That is secretly preparing. But I don't know that he said. I didn't watch the whole thing myself. But he could probably decide against it. You know, maybe it's just preparatory in case he thinks, you know, maybe to scare them, to scare Iran. You know, Donald Trump is big into thinking, you know, he normally thinks he can scare Iran verbally, but Iran has not reacted to Donald Trump's threats. And like I said, the threats are the final refuge of the desperate. And I think Iran knows that. Hey, they might have been the ones that actually said that phrase. I don't know. So Donald Trump, he just wants to keep saying that. And a lot of people have his number now. So some people may get scared. If you're some smaller country that doesn't have much of any means to harm the United States, then maybe you should comply, because he's going to probably start bombing you and killing all your people and all that sort of stuff. But hey, that's what the nice guys do. I mean, hey, that's peace, that's freedom, that's democracy, that's liberty. They liberate you from your life on earth and reunite you with Jesus up in heaven somehow. That's what I guess Donald Trump, you know, and it's like, that's why he's getting the money. Money is the root of all evil. So he is relieving you of your money. Biden was doing it and sending it to Ukraine. I mean, we should all be thanking Zelensky for relieving us of that, taking the burden upon himself, taking that burden of taking the money, because it's the root of all evil, and he is the one that's dealing with it for us. So we have to thank Zelensky. Anyway, everybody, thanks for joining me this time, and I'm hoping to do a cat video, show my cats. I actually even filmed one cat. She's a little bit difficult to film sometimes, and I'll get some other ones, and maybe I can even put it out today. Just some cats, in our personal cats. You know, lost one recently, but anyhow, everybody, I'm not allowed to talk about it, I guess. But okay, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.